We have here Kit. He's a dating coach from London.
I think every man wants to be in a position where he has an abundance of women and he is respected by other men.
Yeah, that's a mess. Are you Christian? To me, a prenup is basically telling the lady, I doubt you, I don't trust you.
There is no such thing as trusting a woman and being right about it.
We're talking about a finger on a nuke.
You'll never divorce because you know and believe that that's not in the cards for you. It's impossible.
If you're married and she cheats, are you leaving?
So I think he's from the UK. So I'm gonna ask him what it's like over there. What's the guy that says, I think my chick is gay. It's a dope song. How can I be homophobic? Yeah.
And we're live in 5, 4, 3.
Y'all ready?
Yeah.
Oh. Welcome to Punchie TV.
Welcome to Punchie TV with your hosts.
Welcome to Punchie TV. I am Punchie with your host, Punchie, from JesseLeePeterson.com show. Oh, Joel Friday, the host of the... What am I saying about you? The American Anchor Baby. The host of the American Anchor Baby show. James Hake, a host of the Hake Report. Welcome to Punchie TV. Punchie.
Welcome to Punchie TV. We are back with a brand new episode and with a special guest. We have here Kit. I forgot one letter. Kit, he's a dating coach from London, and he has a podcast with the focus on dating called Stay Slick with Kit. Thank you, Kit, for coming on. I appreciate you.
Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Hey, right on.
We'll add those in.
Unless you do
we'll
it,
add
I
those
forget.
in.
I know.
Really quick, Kit, for those who don't know and aren't familiar with your channel and what you talk about or what you do, can you explain to them what it is that you do on your podcast?
Yeah, man. So my name is Kit. I'm a dating coach. I primarily coach women in how to attract the kind of high quality, high caliber guy and secure that relationship. But I have a podcast in which I invite all kinds of guests on, mainly women, but I've had a few kind of notable guys on. And we talk about all things dating and relationships and really break down what's happening right now and how to start getting what we want.
Nice. And why specifically, do you specifically focus on women as guests, or why just women?
So mainly because a lot of women have a lot to say about dating, and I find a lot of the time the women who have the most to say are the ones who are the most wanting of a genuine relationship. And so a lot of the time when I invite women on, especially if they're very vocal about certain things, is trying to help them see, okay, the way that you've been moving hasn't served you because of X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
Also given that male perspective in a way that is ideally constructive that they can hear, as opposed to, sometimes it can be a bit, it can be put in harsher ways that we see, is what I'll say.
That's cool. I don't think that I've really heard too much, at least, of men coaching women. But that's so smart. That's so much better.
Yeah.
Than women coaching women or women coaching men.
Yeah, I genuinely think every woman needs a dose of some male guidance from obviously a guy who's not trying to sleep with her.
Right.
Yeah.
So usually that's the older brother or that's the father, or, because most guys are going to be trying to sleep with her. But obviously I'm not trying to sleep with any of my clients. And any woman that comes on, I'm not trying to sleep with her, if I'm being honest.
Really quick, I want to ask you, you've heard about this red pill culture, red pill alpha male. Would you say your podcast fits into that category, or where would you place yourself?
Good question. So one thing I would say is that red pill don't have a monopoly on the truth. So just because they may state the truth and other people state the same truths, that doesn't mean it's necessarily belonging to the red pill culture specifically. So, if an evolutionary biologist said, "Oh, females tend to mate hypergamously," that doesn't mean that they're part of the red pill culture, right?
Right.
So, I would say that there's a lot of overlap in terms of the truths because a lot of the red pill culture is speaking on truths, but I wouldn't class myself as a red pill content creator. No.
What do you think about those the red pill people, the ones, the Andrew Tates, the Myron Gaines, Fresh and Fit, whatever podcast type of guys or approach to manhood and stuff like that? How do you see that?
Yeah, so I address those two guys specifically differently. So I think Andrew Tate, he kind of represents the reason he's so popular is because it's actually a representation of how the West lacks strong masculine role models, which is why he's kind of filled that void. Red pill culture as a whole, honestly, I'll kind of say it's like the feminist movement. It started with good intentions and it started with, being a good place to help grow people who are disadvantaged, obviously a lot of young men and helping them understand the truth. But a lot of what I've seen of it has become more about bashing women, more about, it's just become more hating on women. If we're talking like the Fresh and Fit podcast and the whatever podcast and stuff like that, not all of it is. There are still definitely truths in there. And I say this because I used to watch them pretty religiously, and then it just kind of got a little bit distasteful for me. And I realized it's funny because we have to understand that the content we consume is part of our diet, right? Just like food we consume. And it got to a point where I kind of realized digesting all of that content, I started to have very negative views towards women that I didn't even know. So I think unfortunately it's become a little bit woman bashing, even though I think it started from a good place, which is to help men navigate dating and actually get the relationships and growth that they want.
You make a good point about how it's turned into. We talk about it here on the show and on our individual shows as well. That it's definitely turned into another thing, and not really getting to the solution. But I find personally that I think that there is purpose to the red pill community in the sense that the guys who weren't getting anything, or maybe they were dominated by women or being controlled by women, subject to women, there came this like hard-hitting red pill group, and what it did was like wake them up. So there was some kind of purpose to it. And the reason why I say is because I myself was once like this type of guy, chest out, like trying to like demand my respect type of thing. But it was like forceful and too much and judgmental. And it took me like kind of crashing and burning for me to realize that I was on a high horse. But it was good intention, but the wrong approach. Do you find that there's value in it at all, or do you just think that it's really like a waste of space at this point?
No, I definitely think there's value in it for sure. Like I said, the truths that I guess the red pill talks about, they are truths in terms of about women, about men, about the dynamics between women and men that I don't know how old you are. You look similar age to me. I'm 30. How old are you?
Yeah, 30s. We're in the 30s. Oh, well.
Yeah, so like
we're
you're still
millennials.
second
We're
generation, bro. You're still young.
millennials.
But I definitely our generation of men, definitely the millennial generation especially, we've been lied to about women attraction and the dynamics between men and women. So it definitely has a place. I'm not denying that at all. But I think that, like I said, what I see now is just become a little bit. I feel like it's lost its way in terms of like it's about male improvement and how to better yourself as a man so you can become the kind of man who can choose the woman he wants. And I subscribe to that. It's funny because I primarily coach women. I sometimes do coach men. Sometimes guys come to me as well. Yeah, so there's definitely a place, but it's like anything. The truth is a weapon. It can be used to to help and grow or to harm.
They're lacking in grace, if you will, or love.
So for a lot of women, they lack the guidance in how to use the power that they're given very early on, how to use it in a way that serves their long-term goals. Right? They just simply don't know. Like you ask women, what do men want? And a lot of them don't actually know, which is crazy. because now is the time where you should be using the power and agency you have to get the top guy that you want. While yes, there's an element of, okay, maybe a lot of women come across quite entitled, or they just think like giving their bodies is enough. There's a lack of guidance for them in society as well, in terms of what men actually look for and how to get the commitment from the kind of man that they want. I'd say more men make it their second mission to get what I call a PhD in women, to try and understand women, to them, and women don't do it to the same degree. So there's a level of accountability on their part as well. But also there's no guidance or serious masculine input for a lot of women. And partly because we live in a society as if you say what men actually look for women, you're kind of labeled as misogynistic or patriarchal or
so
whatever it is.
They're afraid to do it. They're afraid to speak up, afraid to say anything. But you're about to say something, Nick?
Only guys are in love and really actually into women. Like, women don't love us like that.
Oh, you don't think that?
We're the romantic ones. We're the and I say that like
in a fallen
state way, and even in like wanting to be better,
Sips.
even wanting to get over the fallen state. It's like that's guys doing that, right? Like,
so you don't think that women
in
are
the fallen
into
state,
it
women
much?
are not into us like we think. What do you
think about
in that fallen
kid?
state?
That's why they break up with us quicker.
What, women aren't really into us?
No, it's really the men are the ones that are really feeling that love. They're the romantic
Meaning,
ones.
like,
They're the fools enough to do all that.
Meaning, like, take
Women
it
know
as
better.
serious, right? Take it as serious and committed to actually finding what this really could be, or overcoming. He's saying that maybe women aren't into that like men are.
No, I think both men and women want to build a healthy, loving relationship. I think both want that. I mean, I think the whole reason the red pill is big is because most guys want to find a great woman that he can have a relationship with. Like, I think a lot of guys, want to indulge in the variety, right? Like, we all enjoy that period, right? A lot of guys do. But then, and maybe I shouldn't disclose this, at least publicly, right? But I've been that guy, just messing around, having rotation with girls. I've been that guy. I've always been honest and transparent, but I've been that guy. But then, and it's weird because I remember seeing Andrew Tate said this. I was like, once you've had enough sex with attractive women, like, sex is pretty boring. Like, you kind of know what you're going to get. And then you're kind of like, oh, I actually want to look for a woman who actually adds value to my life and is an actual asset to my life. Do you know what I mean? And I think most guys, sometimes it's one of those things, like, you have to go through that to get to that point. It's kind of like when people say money isn't everything. Well, like, if you've never had an abundance of money, you're going to chase it until you have it. Then you realize, oh yeah, like, it's not everything.
It's not, yeah.
James brought up a good thing I derailed, though, if I may. To James's point, what do you think about, is the red pill focused too much on women in a way? Like, they've put too much of that attention on the woman, despite saying, we're not going to simp anymore, guys. They've kind of gone all the way around and put the woman as the frame, in a sense.
Yeah, well, from my understanding, that the red pill culture was born from dating dynamics between men and women, from my understanding. So, I mean, that's ultimately about understanding women and how to become a more attractive guy to women, so you have the agency to be with the kind of woman or women you choose to be with. If I'm being honest, I think a lot of male endeavors in life is to get to a position where they can choose the kind of partner they want. I don't think it's the only reason, but I think it's a very big factor. Like, I wonder if a young man very early on had just decided he's not going to have any kind of relationship with women, I wonder how far he would go in life in terms of strive, ambition, success. Like, if someone said, hey, no matter how successful you are, you can never have a relationship with a woman again.
Are you asking something? Sorry.
Yeah, I was like, if someone said to you guys, like, hey, no matter what you do, you will never have any relation with any woman ever again. No physical relation, no romantic relation ever again with any.
Would I achieve anything you're asking me?
Well, I guess I don't
know. I might finally achieve something. But here's the thing: some people say some people say flying cars, flying cars and skyscrapers if men stop putting attention to women. But you're saying no skyscrapers, no flying cars if it wasn't for women. We would devolve into eating just fruits off the trees.
Well, let me add to what
because we don't have nothing to fight for. Is what you're saying.
I want to add to what
you might be right.
saying.
I'm just wanting to
because you're saying, Kit, if I understand you correctly, you're basically saying that there is a level of ambition that comes from men when they know that they have something to work for, right? Maybe whether it's a family, whether it's a wife they're planning to get married to, whether it's for whatever the case is, there's a fire that gets lit in a man when he knows that he's achieving something for the sake of
to get chicks.
Yeah, to get, or even to get, but mainly to have what he truly desires, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think every man wants to be in a position where he has an abundance of women and he is respected by other men.
Yeah, that's a mess.
Isn't he kind of right about that, generally?
Are you Christian?
Before we go any further.
I was raised in a Christian household.
Okay, so are you religious or faith at all, or what?
Yeah, I believe in God, yeah.
Okay, I believe there's another way to go about doing these things where you don't need to have the fire lit from a woman or a family or others to still be successful, a different drive that's driving you. And I think that's what Nick is alluding to. Correct?
I hear it. Yeah. And I don't disagree with you.
That's what I was saying, yeah.
I don't disagree with you. But like, for example, I don't know what we're allowed to say, but like,
it's pre-taped, so say it and we'll find out.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool.
We'll cut it if it's inappropriate.
Got it. Okay, cool. So like suicide bombers from like terrorists from Islam, what is it that they're promised in
72
heaven?
virgins, allegedly, right? Something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So I'm not saying it's just that.
Right.
I think there are multiple components to what can drive a man to become successful. Right?
Yeah.
Now, if he's successful in his own passion, then that's for him, most likely. Right? But what most people don't have the job they do, they're not passionate about. It's a job, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but it's not like a passion, right? So I'm just saying that being in a position where a man can choose the kind of woman or women he wants, I believe for most men is a big contributor to their drive for success. Yeah. Not the only.
That sounds right.
But I think it's a big contributor.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I wasn't even disagreeing with you. I was just laying out the argument because that's what I keep hearing. If women went away, flying cars tomorrow. But you know what? Society would end maybe. If the vast majority of people want to operate in this way. There's no whatever argument I want to make about enlightened and above it all, whatever. It's besides the point. The vast majority of people will not continue society
without
innovation, without
drive.
the woman. If we don't have to call it just sexual and getting chicks, call it what you want, but that component.
Yeah,
I think
it's a big driver for us. I think he's right. A lot of the things that we do.
Was it Rod Stewart or was it Ryan Adams or whoever who said, "Everything I do it for you"?
Mm-hmm.
To the woman,
and it's a hit.
Do you think that's justifiable though, Kid? You think that that's a good way to go? That's the proper way we should go about life, is being driven by the woman's approval or stuff like that?
No, absolutely not.
Fair enough.
I think, I don't know what you guys believe. I believe that we're generally here on this earth to evolve as spiritual beings, have a physical experience. And I think when you're born as a man, there's a level of burden that comes onto you and responsibility, but you can take it because you're a man, right? So I think it's in your own interest to develop that strength to do so. While there is going to be a desire for women always, that's how we've been made, it should not be the purpose of what you're doing. She should only ever be a byproduct of your mission, but not the focus.
Right.
Because ironically, the more you seek for women's approval, the less women you're probably going to get. Is the truth.
Yeah. And the less you'll get done. But we got to move on because I got so many things I want to ask you that I have you here.
Is that a salute?
You said what?
No,
So many
Roman
things I gotta
salute.
ask you here, man.
Put that arm up, Kit. You with us or you put that arm? Are you with us or without us? No, joking.
I'll cut the kid on that part.
Yeah.
All right. Kid, I want to ask, why do you think that women today, especially today, chase like that flashy man hoe? The guy that's like,
I expect that.
rich and gets all the girls, who she knows has other girls, who she knows is a player and stuff like that. Why do women typically gravitate to that type of man?
Great question. Well, one, I would say that there could be several reasons why a woman does. One, he's demonstrating the ultimate level of financial security, right? But also lifestyle, right? Lifestyle is very attractive to women in general. Different women to different degrees, for sure. If she's a woman who came from like a background or environment where she didn't have a lot of money, then the more enticing that kind of guy is going to be, because he represents a lifestyle and a way of living that she's never had. When you have a girl who comes from money, she's less impressed by it, because she's like, so you have money, big deal,
Right.
right? She's grown up with money. The second thing I would say is that, especially nowadays, because we can demonstrate these lifestyle online and women love attention, it gives them attention.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like, oh, if she's, because the thing is, like, going on the private jet isn't enough. You have to take a picture and show that you're there.
Right.
You see what
So-
I'm saying?
Gratification is for that ego gratification. But where's the sense, where's like the common sense, or do you believe it exists to where women can recognize that because they say that they want a good man, they preach that they want a good man, the right man, and they want to get married, but where's like the common sense that says that this guy is just one of those guys, you know what I mean? Where it's like, oh, I'm gonna let go of like the idea that he has this money and this false sense of security so I can get a man that's truly gonna treat me right. Why don't they typically think in that way?
I think so. There are some women who genuinely just don't believe that a man is going to be good with them because of their experiences. So they go, okay, if I'm going to be with a bad man, I'm going to be with a rich bad man. Do you know what I mean?
So why are
some-
they choosing a
So-
bad man though? Why are they settling with the bad man? Why don't they want a good
Or
one?
better yet, why are they complaining afterwards or anything? They're happy with their situation. They got the bad rich man they wanted. My life's terrible. No,
So I guess what I should say is not bad man. I think some women, because of their experiences, believe that men will never be what she wants them to be.
Oh,
She makes the relationship more transactional in terms of, well, I'm going to get this if I'm going to be here.
so they settle.
Sure. Yeah. Because I differentiate between the caliber of a man and the quality of a man.
Yeah.
The caliber of a man refers to his status, financial standing, what he is on paper. The quality is who he is as a person, right?
Right.
His character. So if a woman has never been with a man of quality, as in high character,
Yeah.
she will only prioritize a man of caliber. She doesn't believe men of high quality in terms of character are there.
So she gets what she deserves. Essentially, she's getting what she deserves because she's not even setting a standard high enough for herself to expect a decent guy. So she's just said, throwing up her hands. You know what? I'm gonna just accept this, but then complain about it the whole time, type of thing.
She doesn't think it exists, though, it sounds like. Or at least decent in her mind.
You believe that to
Yeah.
be true? Do you guys believe that to be true? That she doesn't really think that there's a decent man that exists?
There are some women who continue to say that all men are trash.
So,
but if that woman gets into if that woman gets into a relationship and then comes to me, is like, why are things going bad? I need advice. But she believes all men are trash, and so she got with someone because, well, they're trash anyways. Might as well do it like this. This is all I can get.
right.
What is there to complain about? Like, you
Right.
can't be that aware of your situation and,
Yeah, I
and
mean,
still be
people-
in it, right? Like, it's like you know too much about yourself
Right.
for you to be
Yeah, I mean,
complaining to
like
me.
people can get what they want but still complain. So like typically the British people, we're known to be a nation of whiners, as in we complain about everything, right? Like when it's too cold, we're like it's too cold. When it's summer, we're like, oh, it's freaking hot. We want the sun, but we'll still complain about when it's hot,
Yeah.
right? Some people are just like that.
I remember. I noticed that when I was a kid, and I supposedly people say, "Oh, you don't have stress as a kid." I found a way to be stressed out. I think people find a way to be miserable and stressed and live right on the edge of being sick all the time or whatever.
Yeah.
Also as well. Sorry to cut you off. Also as well, like what men have seen is that for some women, no matter how good they have it, they will complain about something.
Have we came to the conclusion that the ladies, they're settling for less because they're desperate, or they're settling for less because they don't know any better, or what is it?
I think it's oh, so your original question was about why they're going for these ballers who show off their life and stuff.
Right.
So I think the main thing is that back in the day, a woman wouldn't be exposed to that man or that lifestyle at all. Right? So what I mean is that now we have, back in the day, like the girl from a quiet village in Wisconsin, all she knew were the men in her town.
Yeah.
Right? And like the highest status guy in her town was the guy who maybe owned 2 tractors.
Right. Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas now that same girl goes on social media, she's seeing girls get flown out to Dubai. She's seeing people getting like, this guy buying his girlfriend a 150 grand car for Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
So they go, I want that.
Yeah. Which
they just have everything to compare.
And you said that's settling?
I don't.
Well, the thing is that to me, what it feels like is that there's a lack of security within the woman, that she feels like whatever she's seeing outwardly, which is most people, guy or girl, but whatever she's seeing outwardly is gonna bring her some type of satisfaction that she's missing in the home, right? That she didn't get from her father or her upbringing. So it still feels like a like lowering or a soft like a lowering of self-value to want to go out and chase this, right?
Yeah, I think it's like everything in terms of she's choosing for the wrong values. And once she's done that enough, ideally would choose for the right values. Because guys do the same. Like when we start dating women, we just want the hottest girl we can get. And then when you've dated quite a few attractive women, especially if someone is quite entitled or toxic, you go, to be in a relationship, I'm willing to compromise on looks for good character.
Right.
Right. I still have to be attracted to her, but she doesn't have to be a 10-10. And I think that it's like for women, it's like, at beginning, they just want to choose the guy who's like the hot shot, the flashiest, whatever. And then they realize that guy doesn't commit to them, or he's not integral, or he's whatever. Yeah. And they go, I'm willing to compromise on a guy not having a yacht for a good character.
But why do you think that the men chase the flashy whores?
Can you define flashy whore for me?
Okay. So today, I don't know how it is over there in London, which I'm sure it's the same. But like they wear a lot of revealing clothes. They're showing off all the goods. They're making it obvious that they want the attention. You see it all on social media. And typically what it is just like, slutty behavior, whether they're actually that way or not. It's just slutty behavior. But us guys tend to gravitate to that, even though that is a clear signal that this person is kind of not in the right mind about going about men. But we still do it. We still fall for it. We still chase that woman.
Maybe rappers.
Why is that?
Maybe black guys.
I don't know. I think it's all guys. You don't think so?
To the girls you're talking about.
He's a rapper.
I think
the girls you're talking about.
But
I know what you mean.
There's definitely an attraction.
I know what you mean.
There's like a pull.
So males in general are hardwired to seek out sexual opportunity. And so it is natural in males in general, but men, to seek out, if a woman seems to be displaying sexual opportunity, it naturally attracts his attention. Right. Which is why women wear certain things like high heels to accentuate, their figure and their curves, and why they might show revealing clothing, because it gets male attention. It's not the right kind of male attention, but it's male attention.
Right.
So for a lot of guys, like the woman that he would chase after in the club is not necessarily the woman he would marry. But that's short-term gain, not long-term gain.
100%. But don't you think that that's the problem, though? You think that that's the loop that we keep getting into, which is why we can't find the right match, is because we're constantly chasing after these like impulsive things. Like the guy has the fantasy of the girl, she's so hot, sexy, and the fantasy of the mind, right, that we've been taught, brainwashing, blah, 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 TV, social media. So now we chase that, but then that doesn't work out because it wasn't real in the first place based off of sex. So that dries up. But now there's all type of issues that they have each other. So they bring baggage into another. But why do we keep, why do you think we keep falling for that? And instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to stop chasing this and I'm going to find a way to go about it the right way instead of me just chasing tail.
Yeah. So I think two things. I think first thing is we have a lot more freedom to see sexualized content in people, right? As a population, but as men. And the more freedom you have, the more responsibility you have to take. And the truth is, I think a lot of people don't take responsibility for what they consume and what they see, right? So it's just a lack of self-discipline. But I think the main reason why people are maybe not changing that, like you said, in terms of recognizing it, is because the pain isn't high enough yet.
Yeah.
Pain is a very strong incentive. I think it's the biggest incentive.
Yeah.
And so it's only when a guy, because if a guy who's been chasing tail for like 10, 15 years and nothing's really happened, he's just been chasing tail, it's just now he's just not in a relationship, he might be like, meh, okay. But if a guy was chasing tail and then he got like robbed or mugged or like taken to the cleaners, he's going to think twice about doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And the only difference is the pain.
Not enough. They have to suffer until they realize that this is not where I want to go anymore. I agree. That's a good point.
There's my I was born and raised here in London, but my family are Nigerian, and there's a saying we have that those that shall not hear shall feel.
Oh yeah.
Interesting.
It makes sense.
I feel like pleasure is a bigger motivation than pain, but pain can still correct you sometimes if you're lucky, maybe.
If you listen. No, but like I find that when it comes to the pain thing that you're saying is that like the more you suffer, the more you change, only because it's almost like I find it to be like a stubbornness, right? Like we get spoiled with the fact that we can have as many girls that you want, or you can swipe as many times as you want, or you can watch as many videos as you want, and still go about your day and your life and your work and still be comfortable. And yeah, you don't ever change because there's no like real like gut punch that makes you change. So you just learn how to adapt. But that also runs dry eventually. And I feel like that is when people start to say, okay, I got to do something different.
That's the most like pernicious form of evil. The soft, like, oh, it's legal, comfortable slave. Oh, it's legal. You know, were you about to say? Because I was kind of wanted to bring it to what were you describing? That the woman was like devaluing herself by going for XYZ, lowering her standards because she never got what she wanted, whatever. But I'm like, and that sounds true. But I'm just wondering, you guys think that's what she's thinking? I'm going to devalue myself. I'm going to settle for this billionaire. I'm settling. You know, I really wanted the godly guy. Like, you think that's what she's thinking?
What were you thinking?
I don't think she's thinking I'm settling and devaluing myself. She's not thinking about value. She thinks she's getting what she wanted. She thinks
they're kind of giving up a little bit of what's right. They're compromising on some level. Mm-hmm. Within themselves and with the other person, they can see the other person's weaknesses.
You mean like in every circle, every person getting together? Yeah, is compromised in some kind of way. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I agree that way.
I don't believe that there's such a thing as settling.
Oh.
I don't. And what I mean is this: as human beings, we're self-serving by design. So we will always choose the best option available to us for what we want. So, for example, if I'm applying for university or college, that's what you guys call it, and I go, yeah, I went to, I know New York State, but I settled for New York State, but I really want to go to Yale. And then you go, hey kid, did you get an offer from Yale? I'm like, no, they didn't want me. So, okay, so you didn't settle for New York State. That was your best option. So what happens is if a woman's like, when a woman goes, oh, I'm settling for the guy so I can have a family, but it's like this average guy over like the rich guy. It's like you're not settling. It's just that your priority has become having a family over being with someone who can have an extravagant lifestyle. So the person you could choose to have a family with, that was the best option for you.
In the sense of where she is at mentally, or in the sense of that's her only option, so she just had no choice but to take it.
Well, I'm saying for what she wanted, that was the best option, so that's why she chose it.
That makes sense.
When we say we settled for something, people use it as in implying they had a better option, but they chose this one.
Tomato,
But if you had a better
tomato.
option,
It's
choose
kind of like living a life of doubt, because they sell. Oftentimes, people sell themselves short, or they think that they want something. They think that they want the family, and then they get with it, and then, like you said, they're miserable with it anyway.
Yeah.
And then they're like, sometimes people find a way to be happier than others. There's like the Melania Trump getting with the billionaire, and she's a beautiful and quiet wife and mother. Or there's the that woman who allegedly got with Elon Musk and allegedly had supposedly his kid, and is miserable right now.
Yeah.
And it's two people who got with billionaire playboys, and one is doing it way better on the outside anyway.
Right.
Seems to have a peaceful life.
Seemingly. Well, let me say, Kid, unless you had something you want to respond to that with.
No, I agree. I agree with
Okay.
what you said.
Fair enough. How do you think women and men should go about dating or finding this proper person? How do you think they should go about it?
Good question. I think the approach for men and women is different. I would say that for women, they should, one, recognize the difference between sexual attention and romantic intention, right? So just because a guy will sleep with you doesn't mean he's open to a relationship with you, right? So recognize when a guy's actually investing in you seriously. Choose a guy based on how he treats you, not what he is on paper. What he is on paper
Right.
matters. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but I think too many women are choosing a guy because of what he is on paper, not how he treats her.
Right.
So if you start to counter more in how he treats you as a woman, right, that's going to be more indicative of the good quality guy he is, at least with you.
Mm.
And have a male in your life who doesn't want to sleep with you have some level of input in terms of meeting the guy, whatever it is. I think women need that, especially when they're young, because when they're young, they're inexperienced, but when they're young is when they have the most power and agency. So they need the most help in that sense. For guys, I would say nowadays, if you find a good girl who believes in you, then I think that's good. You should work on that. But if not, I think just work to build on your own value for yourself. Like, become a better man in terms of mind, body, spirit, economically, of course. Work to become economically attractive to women. Like, if you get your head down for 5 years, it's going to pay off for the next 20, you know?
Yeah.
But that's what I would say.
So the reason why, and I agree with most of what you're saying there, but the reason why I asked you if you're a Christian, because I feel like I don't know, this may be like a spiritual principle, but it makes sense to even me practically. Is that like I find that when you focus on yourself and work on yourself and try to fix your issues that you have going on, and you don't focus on a woman, or you don't focus on trying to find a wife, it doesn't mean you don't want it, but you don't focus on it, and you're not out there chasing it and on the apps looking for it and having all these lists written out. I think that if you just let go and trust the process, it'll be added unto you and it'll fall into your lap. The reason why I say, because that has happened to me So I can attest to that. But when it's added on to you, it feels more natural. It feels like it's the proper person, and you don't necessarily have a list with each other. It already kind of works because it feels more divine that way, opposed to like trying to sit down and do an any, mini, miny, mo type of thing. What do you think about that?
I completely agree with you, man. I think as a man, if when you focus on developing yourself and you do create that value, then I think women recognize that, and like you said, they will come to you in that sense. You
Yeah.
know, like I I've talked to many guys about how, they say that, oh, a lot of women in the West are very masculine, which is fair, right? They're more masculine than they were before. But if I'm being honest, at least in my adult life, especially from like my mid-20s up, I've never had an issue attracting feminine women.
Right.
But that's because, like you said, you work on yourself and it will be put upon
Yeah.
to you.
Yeah, and
So,
you kind of attract that, and they tend to be, not all of them, but they tend to be more submissive to your direction when it's attracted to you, opposed to you attracting it, and they feeling like they have some type of control, because then ultimately, if you're chasing it, they know they can control you, and they do control you, and it'll last for a little while, but then eventually they'll resent that you're weak, or that you can't speak up to them, or you don't know for some reason you don't get attention from other guys, or whatever Steph's wife said. but I think that's it's best if she is added on to the man's world, because that way when she comes into the man's world, he's the dominant one, as it should be. And it's not like telling her what to do and or be obedient like that, like sit down dog type of thing. It's not that at all. But it's more so that like she is unashamed to let him be the man. And I feel like it works out best when it's added naturally.
yeah, I agree. I think from the women I talk to, especially the women I coach, they want to choose a man that they can look up to,
Yeah.
because the kind of man that they will get on his program is the man that they look up to, they respect, he's going in a good direction. I think part of the issue of the dynamic today is that most younger women are actually doing better than younger men.
Yeah.
I think it was since 2015, women under the age of 30 out earn their male counterparts now.
Yeah.
What a mess.
So I think, which is why a lot of women now date. I mean, women have always dated older, but a lot of them are dating a lot older now. But I agree with you. I think most women would rather have that position, because at least girls I talk to, and it's so funny, I've had a couple of girls on my show who are the most independent, career-driven women. Then they get to 29, 30, and I literally had one text me the other day being like, I don't want to do this independent, strong woman anymore. I just
Yeah.
want to be on a man's program.
Nice.
Are they willing to? Are any of them willing to let go of their career and rich lifestyle to downgrade to be under a man who's makes less than them?
So this is a conversation I have with them. That one thing I say is, you can have anything you want, but you can't have everything you want. So if you want to prioritize a guy who has a level of emotional intelligence and is going to be there for you, he may not be the caliber that you're looking for. But if you want to be with a certain caliber of guy, then you have to understand you're going to have to get on his program.
Yeah. Do you plan for yourself to get married one day, or what's your
Good question. I would get married culturally, not legally.
Okay. Perfect answer for this
Dang,
next clip.
that's a
that I'm
red
about
pill
to
answer. That's what Nazis say. Nazis say the sky is blue.
Who's this guy, Andrew Tate? Who's this guy?
I'm not done the Roman salute yet. No.
So I asked that because I came across this clip, because right now prenup conversation is a big conversation. I didn't really know how big it was until I was looking into it. But I find that there's two controversial things that bother men and bother women today. One of them for women is if you tell a woman to obey today, she goes crazy. But the second thing that's most controversial is if you tell a man that he shouldn't get a prenup. That's also controversial. I didn't know that. Did you know that?
I didn't know I can understand both points.
Yeah.
Definitely the obey one. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, fair enough. Well, this is from Flagrant podcast. I'm gonna play a little clip, and then we're gonna do a little commentary after it. Andrew Schultz and a divorce lawyer questions the purpose of marriage, and I want to see what you, Kit, and you guys think about this here.
But you know what's an interesting thing I've always found fascinating is if you said to me, you know, Jim, I'm thinking about buying an airplane. If I said, oh, really, why? That's not a rude question.
Yeah.
You would say, oh, you know, I fly a lot and it'd be nice. I wanted to learn how to do it. Okay. If you're dating a girl for a certain period of time, you say to me, you know, Jim, I'm thinking about getting married. And I go, why?
Yeah.
That's rude. Why is that rude? Like, this is a technology that fails 56% of the fucking time.
Yeah.
And let's say there's another 10, 20% that stay together for the kids or because they don't want to give away half their shit.
Yeah.
Why is it rude to say to someone, you guys are getting along, you're in love, you're having fun.
Yeah.
Why do you want to get the government involved?
Yeah.
Like, why? What? My whole thing is,
Yeah.
what is the problem
Yeah.
to which marriage is a solution?
So
Cold-blooded.
that's a divorce lawyer. So obviously this man is used to, he's a divorce lawyer. So he's constantly hearing these stories about divorce, constantly hearing why it's not working, possibly having a skewed perspective because most of his clients, most of the people he deals with throughout his life is divorced people. But what do you think? Is there truth to what he has to say? How do you feel about that?
So whenever the topic of marriage comes up, there's always two different approaches. There's the logistical business side of approach, and then there's the sentimental, meaningful approach. So this is why I think there's a lot of contention with the topic of marriage between men and women, because a lot of men, or especially red pill, come in from the logistical side, but women are coming in from the sentimental side.
Yeah.
So they're like, women are like, but don't you want this sentimental? And guys are like, yeah, the sentiment's great, but the logistical thing is not great for me. So James, that divorce lawyer, James Sexton, he's clearly definitely coming from it from a logistical, practical sense, because obviously he's a divorce lawyer. And I think, you know, I understand the sentimentality behind it, but, you know, I don't, and I'm biased in this, but I don't blame guys for being hesitant for going into a legal contract that could ultimately destroy them, because divorce is the biggest reason why men commit suicide over the age of 40. Like, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like, because, you know, I say this to women, like, okay, just to understand how guys see it. Imagine if, for example, you get married to a man and even if you get divorced, you're still responsible for sexually satisfying him. How many of you would sign that contract? None of them would sign it. So like when guys go into a marriage, be like, okay, well, if she divorces you, not only is she going to probably take half your stuff, but you're still responsible for paying for her lifestyle. I think it's as well especially for our generation. For me, that makes no sense to me because I grew up in a generation of equality. So I'm like, where's the equality? Like, if I'm gonna leave with what I brought and you leave with what you brought.
But is not getting married any protection? Because if you're living together, let's say you're living together, and not getting married, the court can come in and be like, you guys are basically like, I don't know.
Can they come in?
You still end up getting, pardon my language, but screwed.
But can they? I don't know if the courts can come in if they're not. There's no paperwork, legalized paperwork saying that these people are together.
But if you live, for example, if you live somewhere, let's say there's no paperwork for like this person's not a tenant in this apartment, but if you are, if you can prove that you just stayed there for months, you can like legally say I live here and make some claim. That's how these squatters stay in homes. They don't have any paperwork saying that they're a tenant, but they say I can prove I've been here. So
as more and more people don't get married, the women are gonna say
find a way to still do it.
I get his money.
Well,
exactly.
Well, I guess the sentiment right now is that if you don't get married, so let's just take like right now, if you don't get married, then you have a better chance. Most men are going with this take, and I understand it. If you don't get married, you have a better chance of not losing half your stuff if you break up. Opposed to if you get divorced, men feel like it's a risk. My take on that is that I feel like the standard of the world today, yes, when you get in relationships, there's always like an uncertainty on whether it's gonna work or not, right? Because you meet somebody and they change up, they seem nice at first and they change up, or for whatever reason you guys disagree on something and it goes way further than it's supposed to, and then you guys break up, boom, you're out of your money, right? But for me, when I speak on it, I think of it more in a spiritual sense. I feel like there's a way to choose the right person and be confident in the fact that you chose the right person, and you marry them and do your little government thing because that's what's demanded of you to do by the law. And you'll never divorce because you know and believe so confidently that that's not in the cards for you. It's impossible. So you don't have to do a prenup. I believe that that's possible and men can do that, but I just don't think that men are maybe understand that or are taught that that's a possibility. Because to me, when a prenup, and this is just my opinion, let me know what you think, Kit, is that to me, a prenup is basically telling the lady that I doubt you, I don't trust you, for one. And if that's the case, you shouldn't marry. But also it's casting doubt on your relationship. You're basically saying, what if we don't work? What if we don't last till death do you part? And that's not confidence. You know, doesn't a woman want to know that, or even a man to know that you guys are both in this for a long term? There ain't no possibility. Do you think that that's possible, or am I just going crazy here?
I get what you're saying, right? And you're coming from the angle of the sentiment approach.
Yeah.
Right. Completely understand that.
Typical Joel Friday.
Why you nodding so hard? I know.
Well, when you put it like that, kid, you're making me sound crazy.
I get it.
100%.
So the problem with this, when I say with this, as in the problem with marriage for men, right? Because what they're not avoiding marriage, they're avoiding a divorce, right?
Right.
There is an element that is out of their control. Because he can't control who she's going to be in 10 years. He can't control he can control who he's going to be in 10 years. But he doesn't know who he's going to be in 10 years. And he doesn't know who she's going to be in 10 years. Right? Now, it's like when you drive, you don't get onto the road thinking you're going to get into an accident, deliberately go to the accident, right? But you need insurance to drive.
I've heard that. I heard that one. I've heard that, kid. And I understand that it's protection, right? But to me, how I look at it, and of course I could be wrong about this. How should you live a life?
Wait a minute. If you had a choice to get insurance or not, a lot of people would choose not to get insurance.
But not because they believe they're not going to crash, though. They just probably
that should be the reason.
Some people think they're pretty confident that they can avoid getting in a crash, and so they'll go without insurance. You know, I think a lot of people would choose not to. And I'm pro prenup, by the way. So
I have a question for Joel, because I know we're talking about prenups, but obviously you come from the sentiment side of marriage for sure.
I would more say spiritual, but I get your point.
Spiritual.
Nah, I'm playing. I'm just playing. Go ahead.
Oh, no, fair. Whatever you resonate with, man.
Different language. It's all good.
So would you consider a marriage culturally but not illegal? They didn't sign the contract. Would you consider that still a marriage?
If they didn't sign the marriage license with the government?
Yes.
Marriage is the purpose of marriage is once upon a time it was based on biblical and spiritual principles. It wasn't based on the government or law until that stuff came later, of course. But there are benefits and pros and cons to doing it governmental. But the reason why I say is that when two people came together, it was because it was right? If it was added onto them naturally, and you guys are both working on yourselves to become better people, and you're committed, then to me, I don't see why that could fail. How could that fail if both of you guys are committed and both of you guys are confident that you're going to last till death do you part? I just don't see where we need to even put the even question that, well, we might divorce, or even question that we might crash. I just don't believe that that's necessary.
I disagree with both of you guys.
Okay.
Go.
I don't think it's a marriage if you only marry culturally and not signing the document. Because most of the guys who are doing that, maybe all of them, are just BSing. They're just BSing the woman. And two, they should get a prenup because there is no such thing as trusting a woman and being right about it. There's no such thing of it.
Well, I don't.
I didn't
And
expect
put
that.
it
You
like
went
this. And put it like this. Everything you're saying, can't you just flip it and be like, well, if we're just gonna not doubt and we're just gonna be married and have no doubts, then signing this is no issue either, right? We're talking about a finger on a nuke.
Right.
You know what I mean? That men don't have, right?
Yeah.
And we're just asking you, can you
And they're more likely to
but-
nuke it.
Because
get
what
rid of the
that's
button?
saying-
Like,
right.
would you be willing to just like throw the button
That's a
out?
good point. That's a point.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like,
But see, what's not being understood? What's not being understood here is because what this is basically saying is that it's really a smack in the face to your wife. Because at the end of the day, you're basically saying that I don't trust you. You might change, and if you do, I'm gonna protect myself just in case. What woman in her right mind is gonna take that prenup? That's typically why women don't.
Only
But
if
it's
she
like the
trusts you.
situation is
Only
different,
if she
though.
trusts you. Will she
Right.
do it? If she sees that you're right, coming from the right place,
Right.
she'll sign
Well,
the
she'll
prenup.
do it,
Or
but
if
she'll know. But if she's smart, she'll know that this is still like because of me. He's only signing this because he doubts me. She's
Right.
still gonna know that
Yeah.
that's the reality.
And if she knows herself and she knows him and she knows that he's the right guy to marry anyway,
Yeah.
and she knows that she's not to be trusted, she'll sign it.
But
and
why
be like,
marry her if she can't be trusted? That's what I'm saying.
Maybe because he's blind and he's settling, or else he really believes that she's the right one.
Well, then
But
don't marry her to me.
But don't you see
get
it's the
what you're-
same?
I get what you're saying. I think that what I disagree with your point is I think we can't underestimate that somebody can change. Because
Okay.
people
Big time.
and one thing I know you're saying, I'm so sorry. You
James.
said like really,
Yeah.
James,
James and
yeah, James.
Nick in the Black.
I have a just a quick question. So then, because in Islam they can have multiple wives, and obviously by the West standard that means, well, they'll have multiple wives culturally, but you can't marry more than one person in the West, right?
Right.
So I guess would you class those as marriages or not really?
No.
I guess I would. Yeah, I would, because they're kind of living in the Old Testament biblical times when they would marry a bunch of women, and it would be a big mess for the most part, I think. But yeah, I would call those marriages for them. But I wouldn't call it a marriage for somebody who's pretending to be monogamous and just decided that this thing is not going to work. We're just going to be married spiritually, but not legally.
Yeah.
I think
Do you
that's
think people can't be monogamous without a contract?
they can be monogamous without a contract, meaning they can be committed to one another without a contract. I believe that, but
and have a kid and have a kid
and have a family
and be happy.
somewhat even maybe be happy. Some people may be able to pull it off. I
didn't know James thought like this.
but
kid.
I don't agree with. But I don't think that they're married. I get that the laws are against men, and honestly, prenups are often thrown out. I heard because she signed under duress.
Yeah,
That's really
we don't even have prenups here in the UK. We're screwed.
That's really the take, though. If you think about it, it's like the real mistake is thinking that you can have your cake and eat it too. It's like,
Yeah.
she's this woman. You know what? And it adds to what you're saying, Joel, because it's just like we're basically saying we can go around saying, well, I don't know about this woman, but it's okay. I got a prenup. You know what I'm saying? Mere paper can have us. Can save us from that spiritual malady, being wrong in life, and it's like that's foolhardy, and that we ever thought that was possible.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But I'm pro prenup.
I think if you have real love, meaning like sort of a dispassionate, logical, non-judgmental take on your own life, your own self, and the woman, that is a huge protection no matter what the situation is.
So then my question is, do you guys think, and realistically speaking, I'm not saying like, oh, that sounds nice. I'm talking about realistically. Do you guys think it's possible that a man and a woman can get married and stay together till death do you part, and it be genuine, legit, both trust each other, and it goes right, and the whole nine, and they never need a prenup? Is that possible?
Like, sure.
Yeah.
But what are you saying with that?
But is that possible?
Yes.
So then,
I think.
What about him?
okay, go ahead, kid.
I think it is only possible if both of them prioritize duty over how they feel.
Okay, so
Based.
to me, this is just how my mind operates. Is that if it's possible, why would I then settle for what is less? What do you
So
guys think about that? Ha!
I hear you.
Put it like
I
this.
hear you. I think we shouldn't confuse getting a prenup for I don't trust her or I don't love her and I don't want to last the test of time with her.
Isn't that
But
it
I
though?
think it's more about, look, there are certain things that it's saying, look, I can't control. I want us to last till death part, but that might not be the case.
Why
So
not
if that
though?
isn't the well, because sometimes people change, and here's the thing: some people can come together and be like, they come together, they build a family together, and then they decide they want to go their separate ways in life, in their 50s or 60s. And if that's the case, then fair enough.
So what? The
That's
enemy
so
wins.
sad.
So what does that mean? So the enemy wins. The enemy gets to tear apart divorces, and we just get to accept. Oh well, I couldn't help that. I couldn't change the fact that people change. So you know what? I just changed. It feels like a surrendering to something that doesn't have to be inevitable.
Wait, can I ask you a question, Joel?
Yeah.
Do you think divorce should be illegal?
Divorce?
No, I don't think it should be illegal. Because I think people should have the freedom to. They shouldn't have the pressure to not get a divorce.
Wait, that goes against everything you said. Because if people get married, we shouldn't. By your logic,
Yeah.
divorce shouldn't even be legal because people are going to get married and they're going to stay the test of time, right?
I wouldn't take it as far as to now try to force somebody to stay together, because that creates a whole nother thing. I'm more saying that if you want a divorce, you obviously have the option to divorce. My point that I'm making is that should never be an option, and that you can get to a place as a man or as a woman to where you can be confident that this is not going to happen. And yeah, people change or whatever the case is. People make mistakes. People, I don't know, believe crazy things. But there's a way that where if you're truly overcoming within, you can center yourself back to what is right, right? And why not believe that we can do that? Why more believe that we might fall away? That's like.
But can a person with a
accepting
prenup
destruction.
believe that? That's what I'm saying. This is kind of the point here, because I understand the point you're making, like,
Yeah.
of no doubt, and it's like, cool, I can be with that. But then it's like you come back and back and back at this prenup thing, like these guys that are doing it this way, they're showing doubt on there. It's like when you're going on this. Now I'm adding words to it, crusade. I'm not saying, but it's like when you go on this thing here, I start thinking it's like you're making it like.
Yeah.
It's this, and this is like I'm doubting the woman here, but you can flip it. You can't can't you say that? Put it like this: in this world where you're gonna marry this person and have no doubt, do you think that person can make mistakes and get angry sometimes?
Right.
Is that and that marriage will still be good and
Right.
it'll still be good and perfect.
Yeah.
But she got mad sometimes.
Right.
Can't you make mistakes in your anger and do terrible things sometimes?
Right, but if
let's say you're standing.
yeah.
Let's say you have a string here. Should I just touch it? It'll destroy you and decimate you.
Right.
And it's like you're in a perfect marriage, but she got mad.
Right.
That's what we're talking about. That's how the marriage is set up in the world.
But
And
why?
it's just asking. It's just asking her. It's just telling her, hey, let's get rid of the string. Let's get rid of the gun.
No.
Let's just start from there. No more gun, no more nuke. I'm not doubting you.
Right.
I'm not doubting our marriage. It's not that
but
deep.
that it is,
but
though.
how about we just agree no nuke? that only you get.
That's disarmament.
Disarmament.
But that's basically saying because you might use it. Now I'll say it like this. Okay, let me just paint this picture and then because we're way past time.
I'll give her a gun because I trust her.
So
I'm not saying that. And she's still like a good girl that she would normally not use
but
it.
she's not.
But what about
you don't
that?
see her that way.
Huh?
You don't see her as a good girl. You don't see her as a good girl if you're trying to disarm her. You're like, I don't trust you with this gun, this nuke, but you're a good girl. It's just like, but let me just.
But there
say
is no
this,
good girl. That's the truth. I don't really think like that. That's why I'm really getting at.
Okay, well let me just say this is
And there's no good guy.
I'm gonna try to so I'll put it like this. When Jesus came back, right? His purpose was to overcome to die so the rest of the world can overcome, correct? Do you think that, and then it says in the scripture that husband is to love his wife like Christ loved the church. Do you think that when Jesus came back here, and the disciples asked him, what are you going to do? That he would ever say, oh, I may not make it to the end, y'all. I may not go all the way to the end. I may not carry this cross. I may not die on this cross. I might mess up. I might slip. This might not happen. Sorry, disciples, but I'm going to try.
But Joe,
How much
He's not talking about
confidence-
marriage.
I know, but listen, I'm making a point here.
It's about being
How much
good.
confidence should anybody following Jesus have in him if he casted doubt in that way? In the same way, just like it says in the scripture that husband should love his wife like Christ loved the church. And that means no doubt. That means no full confidence. That means that no matter what, my faith and her faith is the deciding factor on whether or not this marriage is gonna last. We're trusting that it's gonna last. Why? Because it happened in the right way. It was proper. It is the real thing. Why should we ever have any doubt if God is the one that supplied it?
I agree with you, right?
Yeah.
Which is why I don't understand why you don't think divorce should be illegal. Because by you saying that you condone and you support divorce being legal is actually saying, well, in case this couple doesn't work, we should give them the option to split. Well, actually, if you make divorce illegal, it actually incentivizes people to do the work so that they do stay together.
Well, but let me tell you but I get what you're saying, and that might help
And
in a
they
lot of
take marriage
situations.
a little bit more seriously.
But what they're doing is it's the law that's making them not divorce, not their own will that's allowing them to not want a divorce. That's my point. So if the law says we can't do it, now they're just doing it based off, oh shoot, we can't do it because the law says. But we should be able to choose why we don't want a divorce.
So here's
That
the
won't
thing,
matter
right?
if one doesn't.
So
That
here's
doesn't
the-
matter at all if the other does it, right? You could be that all you want, but if she doesn't want to, you could be that all you want.
Yeah.
You could be no doubt, but she
Yes.
doubted. She doubted,
Let me
and
tell
she
you.
ended them. That's what happens,
Well,
right?
let me tell
Divorces
you.
happen.
Well,
Women do that, yeah.
I want to answer to that is that it all starts with the man. If you have no doubt, she has no doubt.
No, and here's the point. I agree with that's what I'm trying to get at. I never disagree with this like spiritual point you're making.
Yeah.
But the when you go hard on this and leave no space that the person who did get a prenup is actually not doubting, shows me that
It seems like judgment.
it's a judgment you have actually
on
and
this
you don't
one-
see straight
Okay,
up.
you're-
Fair
you're-
enough.
But
Maybe,
I'm with you.
maybe
I'm with
though.
you. No
Maybe
doubt
though.
you win. No
He's
doubt
an
you win,
anti-prenup
baby. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. You're 100% right about no doubt.
People say that they don't want government involvement, right? But then they want a prenup. Which one is it? Because you don't want to get married because you don't want government involvement. But if you get married, you want government involvement. So that's why I'm confused on like where are we going here? If
what he wants is a level playing field. That's why he's getting a prenup.
what is the level playing field though?
That okay, getting
Mutually
a prenup.
assured destruction.
You said
Well, it's because the government is on the side of typically the woman because she tends to make up, right?
Right.
So the reason guys want to get a prenup is so okay, if we're gonna get a divorce and we're gonna involve the government, I want this to be a fair fight.
okay, fair fight. And I understand that. But to me, that's a lower level of mindset thinking. Reason why is because now the government has power over me. The government is the dictator of what is dictating the way my marriage is gonna go. I don't believe that. I believe that we can outsmart the government. How? By not divorcing. How? By marrying the right person. How? By choosing the right person to marry to for the rest of your life.
I agree with you, which is why they shouldn't have the government involved. Period.
Does Joel, one, have the faith of a child? Two,
You make it sound bad.
is he naive?
Yeah.
Or three, both?
Fair enough. Hey, all honesty here.
The faith
Go ahead.
of a
You can be
child
frank,
and
kid.
naive?
Say again.
You can be frank. You can be honest here.
I'll always be honest, man.
Right on.
I think you're naive to how people can change.
Okay.
I think that we have, because we live a lot longer now. People only used to live to 40. Now we live double the lifespan.
Yeah.
So, till death do us part is a very tall order,
Yeah.
right? Compared to like 100 years ago, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think to not potentially accommodate. Here's the thing: you actually do accommodate for people changing, which is why you believe divorce should be legal. Because you're like, okay, maybe under certain circumstances, they should split up. Right? Because when two people marry, they're not expecting to get divorced.
Right.
Okay. So
But they're kind of scared. They're kind of scared though.
What do you mean?
When people get married, they're afraid of divorce. There's a fear there.
And they're afraid of marriage.
Right. And
Sure.
they're afraid of
There's
marriage.
trepidation.
And that's the problem I'm talking about, the fear. That's what causes the divorce. But go ahead.
Well,
Anyway.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think thing is, I think your perspective, you have leeway for them changing, which is why you don't think divorce should be illegal, right? But then it's like you don't mind them breaking up. You just care about how they break up.
I don't even think they should break up.
But then why not make divorce illegal?
Because if you make it illegal, what you're basically doing is now people are forced to stay together, and that's not true a pursuit on working your issues out. Now you're just trying to get along because now
No, I disagree.
Okay.
I think it is a pursuit of working your issue out. Because here's the thing: if somebody says you have to live with this person for the rest of your life, you're gonna make it work.
yeah.
You have to. Divorce isn't in the Bible.
But
If
it
anything-
actually does say
It's
if,
because your hearts were hard that Moses allowed for divorce.
And that-
something like that.
but it says that if one cheats on another, you have grounds for divorce.
It's not as
I have
clear
a
as that,
question.
I don't think.
I have a question then, Joel.
Even with that, I'm not sure.
If you're married and she cheats, are you leaving?
That's a great question. That's actually something that
Yeah, it's an
we've
interesting question.
it depends on the situation. It depends on the moment. I can't dictate what I would do until that moment presented itself.
Try and find out.
But I typically think that try and find out. I rebuke those words.
I will kill.
But if someone is to cheat, I think that I think that the woman should tell the man, because he's more likely to forgive and understand what happened. But I still believe that there could be grounds of a solid common sense decision to leave if you see it necessary. But for a man to tell a woman is another conversation.
I don't
So
know.
so let's say you're married, 15 years in, she cheats on you. Is that your fault for choosing wrong?
Oh, if she
Choose
cheats
wrong.
on, no, then yeah, I chose wrong.
I think I think it's very difficult to say, okay, the person I chose when we were 25, I knew she was going to be this person at 50. I don't think
I
you
feel
can
like
put
you
that-
can. No, that's what I'm saying. Because like I know I keep bringing the spiritual aspect, and then we're beating this up. So and we got to
it
close
just
out
got
here.
good.
You can know. Both people can know and be confident that this is gonna last, and there's no need to even question it. Is my point.
But you were describing. I was giving you a hypothetical, so maybe it's not fair. We're all up in my head, and I'm crazy. But I was giving you this
Well, okay.
hypothetical that you had a woman, and it was like a relationship that you seeked in this proper way.
Oh yeah.
Sought.
But she made
Yeah.
mistakes sometimes.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah.
in that same way, this woman that cheated, how did you pick wrong? She just made a mistake.
Okay. So here's the point. is that this is the point that I mean, is that
Error.
I keep bringing it back to the spiritual thing, but I believe it to be true, is that like, if this is right and proper, which I believe that God orchestrated it, right? If that's the case, why would he give me something if it's not meant to last forever? Why would he do it? He wouldn't. So, yeah, she's going to make mistakes, but I don't believe, if we both have this belief and understanding about no doubt that it'll ever get to that point, for one, but for two, if it inches at it, right? If they're tempted and they want to do it, they'll still be saved from it, because the only reason why I believe that stuff happens is because there's a doubt in the mind. It's because there's an uncertainty of this might happen, and what we're doing is we're surrendering to negativity. We're surrendering to the possibilities of negative. Why aren't we believing into the possibilities of the positive, that it'll never happen? And that's what the message I'm trying to spread.
Should I
Yeah.
know we have to wrap up. I'm going to jump straight in there. This is a controversial take. I think a reality of human beings, because we were given free will for a reason, I think the reality is that a lot of people move and operate the right way because they're avoiding consequence, not necessarily because of the sentiment behind it. The reason people don't steal is because they will go to jail.
Right.
It even says in the Bible, if you sin, you do X, Y, and Z, you're going to hell.
Right. Right.
Right? So it's even in the Bible, there are suffering and pain to incentivize good behavior.
Yeah.
Right? And I think this is very much the case for a lot of the human conditioning. As in, a lot of why we have good behavior is because we're incentivized by the consequence, by the lack of good behavior.
But that's not genuine good behavior.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay.
But here's the thing, the reason we punish bad students in school is so they start to behave well, like
Right.
the good students who naturally do.
Right.
Now, the question is their aim to make sure that those who behave well, comes from a genuine place, or is the goal to make sure that everybody behaves well?
The goal should. I thought you were done. Go ahead. Finish your point.
No, yeah. So in that, I think with the Bible, the goal is to make everybody behave well, which is why sin is laid out, right? All what the sins are and what your punishment is if you do not follow this guidance.
Man.
The Bible doesn't say, hey, do this and there's no consequence.
Well, but
Bible
here.
doesn't say that.
Okay, so
Nice.
I clearly understand what you're saying, but I want to push back on it, because
go for it.
the thing is that, like, the Bible was not set out to guilt people into doing good, right? Because yes, that may help discipline their lives a little bit to avoid certain things that may bring them trouble, but it's meant for people to have freedom and choose God. Because when they choose God, it's from a genuine pursuit and you don't burn out. When you try to do good based off of like the consequence or fear, you do it for a little while, but eventually you burn out, right? You get tired because it's like, man, it's hard to stay on track. But when it comes from a genuine place, a genuine pursuit, because you truly understand what you're doing, where you're going, or what it is, then there's a natural movement towards that direction without any doubt, without any temptation, without any of that stuff, because you're learning on the way. So when it comes to you saying if divorce, then divorce should be illegal, what that is doing is what you're saying that the Bible is doing. What it's doing is trying to scare people into working it out, but that's not allowing them to choose to work it out. That's not giving them the freedom to choose to stay in it. And I feel like people should choose to do it. And if you choose, you're choosing because you see that this is going to last till death do you part. Ha ha! What you got to say about that? No.
I love that. I think I wouldn't say it's making people fear to do the right thing. I think it's incentivizing people to do the right thing. And I think there's a difference.
Okay.
Because I don't think people will. There's a reason there's both, right? We hang the carrot in front of people, but we also kind of be like, there's kind of low key a monster behind you, so you might want to go up, right? Because the truth is, some people are just so lazy that if you don't have that behind them, they're not going to do anything.
Yeah,
And
I
some
agree
people
with
are
that.
like you, where they're like, I see the benefit of going after this, so I'm going to strive for it. But
But
not everyone is like you.
yes, what you want to jump in there? Go ahead.
This whole conversation, it sort of reminds me of like work week versus weekends. On the weekends, a lot of people kind of go crazy, and they need the work week to discipline them again. They don't have a choice; they have to go to work,
Yeah.
and it forces them to go back onto a proper sleep schedule, maybe a proper eating schedule, not staying up. And similar thing with like eating vegetables. A lot of times people suffer before they need to eat the vegetables, and then they eat the vegetables out of force from the suffering or whatever.
Yeah.
And then they realize, you know what, I feel better eating vegetables,
Right,
and then they start
right.
to want to eat the vegetables.
But if it's not understood why vegetables are good for you, they're not gonna do it.
No, I know, but it's kind of like doing math problems. You keep on doing the math problems, or you keep on eating the vegetables, and then afterwards you understand.
So you're saying it's like it's
Obey
like
first,
You know,
and then you understand.
like a wheel. So you're saying like a wheel, it
you know what-
rolls into.
Forced to obey, and then you're like, you know what, I like this
You know,
obedience.
you know what it's like? That's actually a great example.
Okay.
This is a pro-slavery argument, I think.
This happens right now. This is exactly how our society runs, right? You know how we said earlier, most people have jobs that they don't like, right? Most people aren't doing something they're passionate about. The only reason why 90% of people work is because they're avoiding the suffering of being homeless and not being able to be economically
Right.
survive.
Right.
That's the only reason. Now you're saying, well, people should work because they love what they do.
Right. Right.
And I'm like, yeah, that would be great, but that is
Right.
not most people. That's
I
like
know.
7%
And
of the
you're
population.
100% listen, and you guys are 100% right about that but the point that I'm trying to make is that, like, practically speaking, you guys are right. On a mass scale, you guys are right. That discipline is what is getting us through life and getting through the day. What I'm trying to say is that why are we not accepting that there's a life that you can live to where you enjoy doing these things? Why are we not accepting that you can do these things? Instead, what we're doing is that we're accepting the life that just gets by with, well, I got to get a prenup. Well, I got to go to work. Well, that's what we got to do, opposed to being able to enjoy that stuff. I'm just saying there's a possibility out there, and we should live by that. Am I wrong for that?
I would say it's not about enjoying, it's about meaning. The reason a man works a job that he hates isn't because he loves the job, it's because the job means he can provide for his family. It means something.
Ah, I
He's
see.
not doing the job because he enjoys it. He's doing it because there's meaning behind it. And
I can
so
understand that.
So that's, I think that is the approach. I think that is the better approach. It's not about finding joy necessarily, because some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. But I think when you find meaning in it, that's what incentivizes people to do the right thing. So this is why I'm saying, hypothetically, if divorce was illegal, it gives the meaning of marriage a more potent place in our society. Because if you get married, you're together for life.
I see. So you're saying take out the prenup and make divorce illegal.
No fault. End to no fault.
If that
divorce.
was the case, if divorce was illegal, I will sign every marriage contract today.
Okay. I got you. Fair enough. Any last?
Oh, I do have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
Kit, is Kit short for something longer?
Yes, my real name is Akintunde.
Nice. Where are you from? Where's that from?
Nigeria. My family in
Oh,
Nigeria.
okay. Nice. Were you born out there or born here?
No, I was born in London, but I've traveled there like twice a year. So
Oh, okay. Right on. Well, we appreciate you, Kid, for coming on. We're gonna have to have you back. That means a part 2 has to come. We didn't get to the bottom of this, so we got to bring you back
I'm
on.
down, bro. Let me know. I'll be there.
Right on.
It was
How could people find your stuff? Promote whatever you have so people can go find you.
Yeah, sure. So you can find me on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok on Stay Slick with Kit. It is spelled how it sounds. Stay Slick with Kit.
Right on. Appreciate it, Kit. Good stuff. Good conversation. Thanks for coming on, and we'll have you back soon, man.
Yeah, man. Let me know. Thanks, guys. Have a good
Right
one.
on. Appreciate it. My last question, guys. How do we
end this?
Yeah.
Don't forget to like, follow, subscribe. Hit the button over here. Subscribe over there. Ring the bell over.
I'm not doing all that editing with all this. That's not gonna pop up over there.
Ain't nothing popping up. And the people like, where? Just hit the button. Y'all know what to do. Bye.
But you didn't say to Punchie TV, but I'll put that up. Punchy TV.
I didn't know I was supposed to say that.
You to subscribe to Punchy TV.
Oh.
But that's fine.
But they know they're looking at Punchy TV.
That's fine.
We'll put that in. Put that in the edit. That part, that little conversation.
Yeah, put that in there.
Right on. It got hot.
I was fine because I have the fan on me. And probably the AC kicked off.
Yeah.
Got cool enough out there.
Nice.